Welcome to day 6 of the China blog, and this is a big day, our first full day in Xi'an, and we visit the Terracotta Warriors, and this is one of the more impressive things that we've seen. Now, a little bit of background, we talked earlier when we went to the Great Wall about the Emperor Qin Shi Huang. He was the first emperor to unify China, and then he quickly set about his sights on ruling the afterlife too. And the Terracotta Warriors were the army he intended to take with him into the afterlife. The figures date from about 210 BC, but they were only discovered in 1974 by some local farmers near the mausoleum of the first emperor. The figures include warriors and chariots and horses. It's believed there are about 8,000 figures, but most of them are still buried, and this is a part museum and part archaeological dig that goes on to this day.
One thing I thought was interesting is that there were guards trying to prevent us from taking photos of the archaeologists at work. They didn't try very hard, though.
Didn't work very well, did it?
No.
We also got to go see an IMAX presentation, and I bought a book, and this is the farmer who supposedly discovered the Terracotta Warriors. I'm going to take him on a word that was actually him and not somebody they pulled out of the countryside. But again, this is another big tourist spot, not only for foreigners, but for the people who live here. This is a really big deal to the Chinese people, and I would say along with the Olympic Games in 2008, this is one of the things that you could tell that they were really, really proud of. One last interesting point, the warriors were originally painted. And when they unearthed them, you could still see color in them, but they oxidized and quickly faded. Here's the kneeling archer that you're seeing now. It's one of the few where some of the color has actually been retained. And here you see one of the restored chariots, one of the more impressive preservation efforts. Now we've worked up a pretty good appetite. We go for a dumpling dinner.
Yep, there were 4 different types: chicken, pork, fish, vegetable, and each shaped to look like its contents. And the finale was a dumpling soup.
Well, actually, the finale was a chicken that had been pounded flat. It was actually really, really good. But when we looked at the plate, there was a little bit left over. And what do you suppose that was? That is indeed a beak. We all had to pose pretending to eat it. There's Lori. And then we passed it to Craig Bowman, who, I hate to tell you folks, he really ate it. He said it tasted like chicken. Then we're off to an art museum, and there was a lot of neat stuff to look at, a lot of both older work and some contemporary materials as well. But really one of the highlights of this was we got to learn a little bit of Chinese calligraphy. And I've got ridiculously bad handwriting as it is, so I was pretty much hopeless in this endeavor.
Yeah, me too, but it was interesting to learn the 8 different strokes and to try to practice their Chinese writing.
The surprise, some of the kids were really good at it, actually. And then they got the bright idea to put Robert to work, and Robert spent a lot of the afternoon writing out our English names of friends and family on this paper that we could take it home and present it as presents. And then we were off to another museum, the Shanxi Museum. It had many of the displays from the Terracotta Warrior site that had been taken there. The museum houses more than 300,000 items that include murals and paintings and pottery and coins, and there are a few highlights of the collection too,
such as the Lantian man who preceded the Peking man, a 4-footed Shang Dynasty bronze cooking utensil, and a painting of a Tang Dynasty group playing polo.
Then it's off to lunch, and really a buffet dinner is probably not terribly enthralling, except I included this because we had some decent pictures of the hostesses who were dressed in Tang Dynasty outfits. From there, we returned to the hotel and had a pretty relaxing night. The first time that you and I really had a chance to kind of go walk the streets together since our first night in Beijing, because you had spent so much time in the hospital with Paige and Cambria. There are my Fred Flintstones. We got a foot massage and walked around outside our hotel.
Yeah, it was a much needed relaxing evening. The foot massage was awesome.
Spent a lot of the night just walking around, watching the traffic, and trying to take some nighttime pictures.
Yeah, and we also had a little taste of Dunkin' Donuts, Chinese style.
Yeah, I always like to get sort of the foreign take on American fast food.
And it was the first sweets we'd really had because they don't eat a lot of sweets in China.
Time to carb up though. Tomorrow, Shanghai.